don't lose the feeling. You know, it's very, I see it happen. I've seen it happen with my parents' companies. I've seen when things expand really big and kind of just go really quickly, it's easy to get caught up in the logistics rather than fundamentally what we're saying about the customer's experience. You know, you start going into the food, to this and that and this, and everything has to be structured, and don't lose the feeling.
Welcome back. We are doing a 10-part series on how to have success in the restaurant industry. I'm here in Manhattan, New York at the Hunt and Fish Club. This is video number 7, and we are talking about how to create an interactive customer experience. Nelson, what do you think?
I don't know. So when you talk about customer experience, it's not, as we discussed in the earlier discussions, it's not only about the quality of the food, though that's important, perhaps the most important function. It's the experience starts when they open the front door. They get greeted, somebody takes their coat, they're sat or they're brought to the bar to wait for a few minutes and have a drink. But that's all part of the customer experience. It's not just at the table. It's literally from the time they open the front door until they close it behind them. And it's all part of I won't call it a Broadway show, but it's like a Broadway show. Everybody has a role. And if any part of that production doesn't work, it impacts adversely the entire production. If it takes too long for somebody to get their coat when they're ready to leave, that's what they remember.
That's enough.
Yeah, because that's the last experience was not a good one. So it's very much interactive, and it's not just about the table, it's about everything that goes on.
Now you brought a special guest.
Nova has been with us for a while, and I brought her because she's spectacular and is better at this probably than anybody we have.
Oh, well, thank you, Nelson.
Like I haven't told you that before.
So what's the secret, Nova? Fill us in.
I don't know if there's really a secret, and as cliche as it might sound, fundamentally, I think it boils down to being empathetic to your customer's experience. What are you looking for when you come into a restaurant? What kind of service are you looking for? What kind of an evening are you looking for? You have customers that come in here that are regulars, and they come in and sometimes they just want to come in and they just want to be served. And, you know, they want to come in and have their dinner and want everything to go smoothly, and it is your job and your responsibility to make that happen. And then there are other customers that are looking to create an experience. And then again, it falls on you to help them. You know, they come into the restaurant, they don't know what they want to eat. Maybe they feel a little bit intimidated. The restaurant's large, there's so many people, it's loud, and it is your job to make them feel like they're at home and they're being taken care of. Whether that's something as small as noticing something at the table, you know, as small as someone who doesn't want a lime in their beverage, and the first time you bring the beverage over and they take out the lime, then the next 3 times you bring the beverage over, you're not going to put a lime because you know that they don't want that lime. It's these little things that if you take notice, the customer, I think, has a better experience because you're really wanting them to have the best experience, and really wanting to do the best you can to do that. And so, yeah, empathy is a big one for me. I'm a very empathetic person. I'm lucky enough to have grown up on the being served side.
Okay.
Because I have parents and my family who like to live a certain way, and they like to go out for dinner. And so I was always on the other side. And for me to be on this side, it is important for me to have people leave and feel like they want to come back, feel like they were taken care of, they had a great evening, they had great food, and they will remember forever that small little thing that maybe someone remembered.
On the being served side, were there a couple of servers that stand out as this person gave me a remarkable experience?
I think, yeah, servers, but funnily enough, more just establishments. And I think that's the point, is to make the establishment and to work as a team. We mentioned earlier that team is really important, and I agree 100%.
Right.
Not looking at as a paycheck, but more as what you can do to make even someone's night just nicer. And the biggest ones that jump out at me, I think, are all in Europe. But in Italy specifically, there's this little little seafood restaurant in Sardinia near Olbia, where we have a summer house, and it's this little shack that serves grilled fish. But every time we came in, they remembered my grandparents' names. They remembered my names. I met them maybe 2 times. They remember my whole family. They remember what we had for dinner a year ago. They remember the wine we like to drink. And when we go there for dinner, it's like a family event, and it's a very, very nice, familiar feeling to go somewhere where you feel like family.
Yeah. What are some of the tells or things that you're really trying to pay attention to that you've maybe honed over the years? Where if you see you said the lime, great. If you see your customer,
I actually stole that from our GM.
Okay.
But it was something that I never forgotten. It's something that I really have taken into account. Like when I first started here, I didn't think something that small could change someone's experience.
Right.
And then after, he used it as an example, and it became an example in the way I work as well. Noticing small things like, I don't know, anything from even the swivel of the head. If someone's not there quick enough, you want to just make sure that you anticipate their needs before they feel like they need something. I think really that is what it is. And helping each other out. You see someone who maybe cannot get to a table, and that person is a little bit exasperated because they want to order because they got a show to get to, and you make it a point to make sure that they don't feel that worry.
Do you have any favorite questions you like to ask your clients? Like, are you asking them why they're here? Are you asking them it's their first time? Are you asking them what they're doing tonight? Is there...
I have some, I'm very talkative with my tables. I think really I don't want to have a script that when I go to a table, I say the same thing to every table. You talk about, you have your thing about the way you talk about a menu. I have my steps that I go down with talking about the menu. But really every table, I want it to be individual. I want each table to be able to leave, and I say, like, I will remember them when they come back, and they will remember me.
So it's hard to express, but there's just, either have it or you don't, there's just an intuition of what a table expects from you. And you just get a feeling for it, how they're looking at you, whether they're fidgeting, whether they're relaxing. Do they want you to stay a few extra seconds? Do they want you to, don't come over so much, you're bothering us?
Right.
And nobody will ever say, don't come over, you're bothering us.
100%.
Or nobody will say, hang out, we love
you.
With you.
Right.
But you just kind of get a sense for it if you've done it long enough and if you're good enough. And you just sort of know. And that's a big part of it. And
so I guess the logic behind the question was, how do we train more Novas, right? So like, how do you take what is amazing and then give people...
If it was so easy, don't you think I would have done it?
Well, I'm helping you here.
Like we haven't thought of that.
I don't know. I don't think that. Yes.
No. So I just want to go down a different path that sparked empathy. How do you put aside your crazy day and crazy life and everything else that is happening? And for a lot of the people here, and running a restaurant is ridiculously crazy business. How can you put aside all of that and have empathy for the person? Like, you got a million things to deal with. How do you put that aside and have empathy for the person in front of you?
I think that's it's just that. You've had a crazy day and you're not feeling like serving a table, but what about that table who came in? Maybe they had a crazy day. I had a table that came in the other night, and they came in as a couple, and they came in for dinner, husband and wife, and I came to learn that their daughter just had a car crash. So I'm like, whatever I'm dealing with doesn't matter, because you're there and you're ready to work, and you don't have your life interfering anymore, because now it's about their experience, not yours.
I remember reading a study about these seminary students. They were training to become priests, and they had to do a speech on, or sermon on, giving back and helping people who were in need. And they put a homeless person right outside where they were supposed to leave. And when they gave them an hour to get to their lecture, the priest in training would almost always stop and help that homeless person. When they were rushed and they only had 5 minutes to get across campus, they almost never stopped. So like, you're the kind of person who would stop. And so it's, how do you identify that? And if you can't train it, then how do you find it in people so that you bring those, because that's what you want, right? Like, you want the priest, you want the novice, you want the priest who will stop, even though, even just that 5-second interaction with the homeless person might spark his day. and you still get off and do your thing. That seems to me like the restaurant industry. You've got all these tables to wait. It's crazy.
So
There's problems happening.
Again, not to answer for Nova, but it starts out with people. Not to answer for her, but I'll answer for
No, I'm happy. I'm happy to.
Yeah.
the person you bring here starts their day that their goal, it's not about what happened to them before, and that yes, we all bring our baggage with us when we come to work, but they're here to focus on that customer. Like that's what they're here for.
Right.
So it's not like how do you train them for, that's all they're here for, right? That if they're not here for that, then they probably won't last very long.
Right.
So it's sort of, it's not a thought because that's already on automatic, or it should be. Like Nova doesn't think about, oh, what, like I have to focus on them today. That's automatic. When she's here, she does. And again, to make her, to blow her head up. We once had a CNBC talk show host comment. He was sitting with some ownership group from the Washington Redskins.
Okay.
And he's a friend of mine, and he's so stressed out. And he goes, I want everything to be perfect. This is a really important dinner for me and an important meeting for me and all of that. So I asked Nova to serve the table. When it was all said and done and he was about to go home, he said, I won't say Nova's the best server you've ever had here.
Okay.
I would say she's the best server I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Wow. Wow.
And that, I'm not making that up.
Wow.
I've told her, and yes.
And so then how do you deal with your own, you're so busy helping other people and being empathetic to them, how do you deal with your own issues and
I think
problems?
that's my excuse. Is like I'll just deal with
avoid
other
it.
people's issues and not deal with my own. I don't know. I actually don't know how to answer that. I don't think that is how I think at all. I don't think, how do I deal with their problems if I can't deal with my own? I mean, really, Nelson said it right. It's on autopilot. It's part of your job.
Yeah.
Simply put, that's it. And how you wish to carry that out is up to you. And that's also what makes everyone's experience different. You know, each server brings something different to the table. And I think that put together, when everyone works together and everyone wants to be there and is not just looking at this place or any place really just as a paycheck, then you have feeling, and feeling is a big part of it.
We have obviously many servers and many good servers, and they don't have the same, like there's no right way to do their job. Like
Sure.
Nova has her way.
Right.
We have other very good servers who are like cartoon characters,
Okay.
but people like them. They have different personalities and different ways of going about it, but what's the consistent theme is making everyone feel important, being sensitive to their verbal cues, their nonverbal cues. They kind of, if you watch and if you're sensitive to it, they're telling you what the experience they expect to have is, or they hope to have. And it's our job to exceed it. And one of the things we did here is, like, we're very big on VIPs. Like, everyone's a VIP, but we get a list of VIPs who are start out as VIPs. They don't become VIPs before they walk in, and we have a knife with their name on it as
Right.
part of them, make them feel really special.
Right.
And so they're all happy and giddy, and just seeing their name on their own knife that they then use.
Right.
And it puts them in a good mood. When they're in a good mood, my job is easier, her job is easier, everyone's job is easier because
Right.
they're already happy.
Right.
Well, not everyone has an, obviously. So their job is to put them all in a good mood. Like, this is hospitality. People want to have
Exactly.
fun.
Yeah.
And so it's their job to figure out what it takes for them to have that experience.
And so Nova started off talking about empathy being her superpower. Is that, from your perspective, Nelson, would you say that that's a Hunt and Fish Club superpower, or that's a Nova superpower that she brings?
Her more than others. But it's my job as an owner to make sure that everyone brings that same thing to the table.
Some form of it.
Yes, whether they think of it that way or not. And Nova's very professional and thinks it through, maybe even more than some others, probably more than I do. But at the end, we expect customers to have a very high quality experience, whether Nova's their server or not. Anyone who looks like they're going through the motions and not really trying to think it through, that gets exposed very quickly. The other servers know who they are. The other managers know who they are. It's not hard to see when you're here every day. That's all. So yes, do I wish everybody would have what Nova has? No kidding.
Best server of all time anywhere.
And not by a random, like,
Right, no, he's
like
been out to,
he's
probably
out
out every
there.
night. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
If you had a final message for people who are starting a restaurant and they're trying to figure out how to create a great customer interactive experience, what would you say?
Don't lose the feeling. You know, it's very, I see it happen. I've seen it happen with my parents' companies. I've seen when things expand really big and kind of just go really quickly, it's easy to get caught up in the logistics rather than fundamentally what we're saying about a customer's experience. You know, you start going into the food, this and that and this, and everything has to be structured, and don't lose the feeling, the
They said
reason why you're
one of-
there.
One of the earliest segments was every day there's somebody coming in here who's never been here before.
Joe DiMaggio.
And Joe DiMaggio. And they have to get that same experience. They don't know that we were good yesterday, nor does it matter.
Yeah,
Right? You have to bring it every day.
yeah.
Love it. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
So guys, remember again, this is a 10-part series. That was episode 7. We're moving on to episode 8 about how to create a fantastic culinary experience. Click the link right next to you and we'll see you there.